He didn't notice it right away. At first, they were just strange dreams, the kind everyone has. Fragments of conversations, faces without names, places that don't exist. Nothing unusual, nothing alarming. But then they started repeating, every night, and each time a little clearer. Alexei would wake up with the feeling that someone had been trying to talk to him. Not just show random images, but actually communicate something. As if behind all those symbols there was meaning he couldn't quite grasp. At first, he blamed it on exhaustion. Work, stress, sleepless nights, a classic combination. But soon, one detail appeared that he couldn't ignore. The same symbol, a door. It appeared in every dream. Sometimes old and wooden, with peeling paint. Sometimes massive and metallic, like something from a bunker. Sometimes it didn't even have a handle, but it was always closed. And he was always standing in front of it. One night, he tried to open it. In the dream, his hand touched the cold surface, and in that moment, he felt fear. Not ordinary fear, not the kind that comes from danger. This was different, deep, almost primal, the fear of knowing. He woke up before opening it. His heart was racing. That was the first time he asked himself, what if this wasn't just a dream? A few days later, he came across a book. It was sitting on a shelf in an old bookstore among forgotten editions. The cover was worn, the pages yellowed. The title, Man and His Symbols. The author, Carl Jung. He bought it almost without thinking. That evening, flipping through the pages, Alexei came across a line that made him stop. The dream is a small hidden door into the deepest and most intimate recesses of the soul. A door. A chill ran down his spine. Jung wrote that dreams are not random images. They are the language of the unconscious. And this language does not speak in words. It speaks in symbols. Every image is a message. Every detail is part of something larger. And most importantly, the unconscious does not lie. It shows what a person refuses to see. That night, the dream returned, but this time, everything was different. He stood before the door, as always, but now he understood. It wasn't just a setting, it was a symbol. The question was, a symbol of what? He remembered Jung's words. If you want to understand a dream, don't ask what it means for everyone. Ask what it means for you. Alexei began to look closer. The door was old, worn, covered in scratches, as if someone had tried to open it or keep it shut. He looked at his hands. They had scratches too. And in that moment, it hit him. He wasn't just standing in front of the door. He had tried to open it before, more than once. But why didn't he remember? He woke up with a sense of unease. If Jung was right, the unconscious is not just a storage of forgotten memories. It's an entire world. Everything is there. Fears, desires, suppressed emotions, trauma, and sometimes things a person has deliberately buried. He started keeping notes every morning, right after waking up. At first, they were just fragments: door, darkness, sound behind the wall, feeling of being watched. But gradually, the picture began to form. The dream repeated, but it changed, as if it was reacting to him. A week later, a new detail appeared, a sound from behind the door. At first, quiet, barely noticeable, but each night, louder. It sounded like knocking. No, more like something trying to get out. Alexei began reading Jung more deeply. He learned about the concept of the shadow. The shadow is the part of the personality a person rejects, everything they don't want to admit about themselves. Aggression, fear, weakness, forbidden desires. But the shadow doesn't disappear. It goes into the unconscious, and from there, it begins to speak, through dreams. In the next dream, he stood before the door again. But this time, he wasn't alone. He could feel it. Someone was standing behind it, very close. He could hear breathing, heavy, slow, waiting. And then, a voice, quiet, almost a whisper. "Open it." Alexei froze. The voice sounded familiar, too familiar. He woke up abruptly, as if pulled out of water. The room was dark. Silence pressed in on him. But one thing was clear. It was his voice. The next day, he couldn't focus. The thought wouldn't let go. If the voice was his, then who was behind the door? Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Alexei began to fear falling asleep, but even more, he feared never finding out what was behind the door. That night, he made a decision. He would open it, no matter what was on the other side. The dream began immediately. No buildup. He stood before the door. Silence. No sound. No breathing. As if there was no one behind it. But he knew that wasn't true. He placed his hand on the door, this time without fear. Almost. His fingers trembled. His heart pounded too loudly. He pulled. The door creaked. Slowly. Very slowly. And the moment it opened just a crack, eyes looked back at him from the darkness. He woke up screaming. But the worst part wasn't that. It was what he managed to see. Those eyes were his own. He no longer had any doubt. These were not just dreams. It was a message, and he had just made his first mistake. He tried not to think about it. For 2 days, Alexei avoided sleep as much as possible. Coffee, cold showers, constant noise, anything to stay awake. But the body always wins, and the mind always finds its way back. On the third night, exhaustion dragged him under. The dream didn't wait. He was already there, standing in front of the door. But something had changed. It was open, just slightly, enough to see darkness behind it. Not ordinary darkness, not the absence of light. This was different, dense, almost alive, like something that wasn't supposed to be seen. Alexei didn't move. He remembered what he saw. Those eyes, his eyes. Jung had written something else. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. At the time, it sounded poetic. Now it felt like a warning. The door creaked, slowly opening wider, as if inviting him in, or pulling him. He took a step forward, and the moment he crossed the threshold, the world changed. He wasn't in a room anymore. He stood in a long corridor, endless. The walls were covered in doors, hundreds of them, all different. Some were broken, some were sealed shut, some were slightly open, and from behind many of them came sounds. Crying, laughter, whispers, screams. Alexei turned around. The door he came through was gone. There was no way back. A realization hit him. This wasn't just one door. This was his mind. He walked slowly. Every step echoed. Every sound from behind the doors seemed familiar. Too familiar. He stopped near one of them. A small door. Barely noticeable. It was shaking. Something inside was trying to get out. He didn't want to open it, but something inside him did. His hand reached out on its own, and the moment he touched the handle, the sound stopped. Complete silence. Then, click. The door opened. Inside, there was a memory. He saw himself, younger, standing in a room filled with people. They were laughing, not with him, at him. His chest tightened. He remembered this, a moment he had forgotten, or rather, chosen to forget. Shame, hot, crushing, unbearable. The younger version of him looked up, and their eyes met. But something was wrong. The boy was still smiling, even though everyone was laughing at him, even though his eyes were filled with pain. That's when Alexei understood. This wasn't just a memory. This was something he had buried. The smile, the forced calm, the way he pretended nothing hurt, a mask. The door slammed shut. He stumbled back into the corridor, breathing heavily. Jung called it repression. When something is too painful, the mind hides it. But it doesn't disappear. It becomes a symbol, and it waits. Alexei looked down the corridor. There were too many doors, too many things he didn't remember. And suddenly, he heard footsteps. Not his own. Slow, measured, coming from somewhere deeper in the corridor. He froze. The lights flickered, and one by one, the doors began to open. Just slightly. From the darkness inside, something was watching. Not memories, not symbols. Something else. Something that had been there longer than all of it. The footsteps got closer, and then he saw it. At the far end of the corridor, a figure. Tall, distorted. It didn't walk. It dragged itself forward, as if it wasn't fully formed. But the worst part was its face. It kept changing. One moment, it was him as a child. Then, a version of him filled with rage. Then, empty. Completely empty. And then it spoke, with his voice. You finally opened it. Alexei couldn't move. The figure stopped, just a few steps away. Do you understand now? Silence. I've always been here. The air felt heavy, thick, impossible to breathe. Jung had a word for this, the shadow. But no book could prepare him for what it actually felt like. You left me here, the figure whispered. Every time you pretended, every time you smiled when it hurt, every time you said, I'm fine. The corridor trembled. I became this because of you. Alexei shook his head. No, but the figure stepped closer. You don't get to deny me anymore. And then it smiled, not like a human, like something that had learned how to mimic one. Now you listen. The doors slammed shut all at once. Darkness swallowed everything, and in that darkness, Alexei felt something touch his face. Cold, familiar, like his own hand. He woke up gasping for air. But something was wrong. The room felt different, too quiet, too still. And then he heard it, from somewhere inside his own head, a whisper. You opened the door. Pause. I'm not going back. Sleep was no longer an escape. It was a doorway, and now it was open. Alexei didn't sleep that night, or the next, but it didn't matter anymore. Because the dreams had stopped waiting for him, they started bleeding into reality. At first it was subtle, small things, easy to ignore, a reflection in the mirror that moved a second too late, a shadow in the corner of the room that didn't belong to anything, a whisper just at the edge of hearing. I'm still here. He told himself it was exhaustion, hallucinations, the brain trying to process stress, but deep down, he knew better. Jung had warned about this too, not directly, but the meaning was there. What you resist persists. Alexei had opened the door, and now the thing behind it was no longer contained. The next morning, he noticed something strange. His notebook, the one where he wrote down his dreams, it was open. He was sure he had closed it. Slowly, he walked over, looked down. There was new writing on the page, not his handwriting. The letters were uneven, pressed too hard, as if carved into the paper. It said, You see me now. His hands trembled. This isn't real. But the voice answered immediately. It is now. Inside his head, clear, calm, cold. Alexei stumbled back. Stop. You wanted to understand. This is understanding. That day, he tried to distract himself, left the apartment, walked through crowded streets, people everywhere, voices, noise, movement. But it didn't help, because he started noticing something else. Faces. Some of them looked wrong. Not obviously, not enough for anyone else to notice, but Alexei saw it. Tiny cracks, in expressions, in timing, in emotion. A man smiling, but his eyes stayed empty. A woman laughing, half a second too late. And for a moment, just a moment, he saw the same thing in all of them. The same presence, watching, through them. He turned away quickly. "This is just in my head." "Yes," the voice said. "That's the point." That night, he tried something different. Instead of running, he listened, sat in silence, closed his eyes. "What do you want?" For a moment, nothing. Then a response. "To be seen." Jung believed that the shadow doesn't disappear when ignored. It grows, distorts, becomes something else. But when acknowledged, it changes. Alexei took a breath. "You're a part of me." Silence. Then a soft laugh. Finally. The room shifted, not physically, but perceptually, like reality lost its stability. And suddenly, he was back in the corridor, not asleep, awake. The doors were still there, endless, watching, waiting. But now they were opening, one by one. And from inside, things were coming out, not fully formed, not human. Pieces, emotions, memories, fragments of himself. All the things he had pushed away. Fear, rage, shame, loneliness. They didn't attack him. They moved past him, into the world. "You don't control this anymore," the voice said. "Then what am I supposed to do?" Pause, then integrate. The word hit him hard. He remembered it from Jung. Individuation, the process of becoming whole, not by removing the darkness, but by accepting it. "And if I don't?" The corridor went silent. All the movement stopped. The presence stepped forward again, closer than ever, face shifting, endless versions of him. "Then I take over." Everything went dark. Alexei opened his eyes, back in his room, but now there was no doubt. This wasn't about dreams anymore. This was about identity, and he was losing control. He looked into the mirror, and for the first time, he didn't recognize the person staring back. The reflection smiled. He didn't. The reflection didn't disappear. It stood there, smiling, watching him. Alexei didn't move, didn't breathe. Slowly, very slowly, the reflection raised its hand. He didn't. And that's when he understood. The boundary was gone. "You're late," the reflection said. Its voice was calm, almost gentle. "What are you?" Alexei whispered. The reflection tilted its head. "I'm what you refused to be." Silence. "I'm every truth you buried, every emotion you denied, every moment you chose the mask instead of yourself." The smile widened. "I'm you." Jung wrote that the most terrifying thing is not darkness. It is the realization that the darkness is yours. Alexei closed his eyes. He could feel it now, not just as fear, not as something external, but as something inside him, always there, waiting. All his life, he had tried to be acceptable, calm, controlled, normal. He avoided conflict, swallowed anger, ignored pain, and every time he did, something inside him grew quieter, but not gone, never gone. The voice spoke again. "You don't need to fight me. You need to understand me." Alexei opened his eyes. The reflection was no longer separate. It was closer, not in the mirror, in him. The corridor appeared again, but this time, it was different. The doors were still there, but they were no longer shaking, no longer threatening. They were waiting. "This is where you decide," the voice said. "Decide what? Who you are, when nothing is hidden." For the first time, Alexei didn't step back. He walked forward, to the nearest door. His hand didn't tremble this time. He opened it. Inside, another memory. But instead of turning away, he stayed. He felt it. The shame, the anger, the helplessness. He didn't run, didn't suppress it, didn't hide. And something changed. The memory didn't grow stronger. It softened. He stepped back into the corridor. The door behind him didn't slam shut. It remained open. And the darkness inside it was no longer threatening. "That's how you read a dream," the voice said. Alexei frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" The presence stepped beside him. Not in front, not above, beside. A symbol is not something to escape. It's something to enter. Every image is a part of you. Every fear is something you haven't accepted. Every repeating dream is something unresolved. Alexei looked down the endless corridor. So all of this is you. Jung called it individuation, the process of becoming whole, not by removing darkness, but by integrating it. Alexei took a slow breath. And if I stop? Silence. Then I take your place. No threat, no anger, just truth. He nodded slightly. Now he understood. This wasn't about defeating something. It was about becoming something. The corridor began to fade. The doors disappeared. The presence dissolved. And for the first time in a long time, Alexei fell asleep without fear. Morning, sunlight, silence. He stood in front of the mirror again. This time, the reflection moved with him. No delay, no distortion. But something was different. His eyes. They were deeper now, heavier, but also clearer. Because now, he knew something most people never realize. Dreams are not random. They are messages, not from somewhere else, but from the part of you that sees everything, remembers everything, and waits until you're ready to listen.